It's time, ladies and gents, about to spit about some film reels. Copping the field to seal the deal of what the films reveal. Batman, Superman, even Spider-Man compare to fare against each other, tearing apart the parts that they prepare. But these are just a few examples for the task at hand. On demand with cinematic contraband to shock the fans. To preach the theme, title, film, eat film. Tis the keen regime for cinema guillotines to rock my rhyme kiln.
What's up, y'all? This is Scott Icebox Nemi for Film Eat Film Movie Debate Podcast Tournament. Just filling you in on everything that's happened since our last battle a week ago. Well, I also got a 3-0, so bow down to me. Anyways, we have tonight Blake Zorozono versus Royce Brackett. Yeah, he's Royce Brackett again. This winner will actually take on me in the semifinals. And on the bottom part of the draw, we are going to jump ahead to the semifinals between Trace Couch Patchen versus Damon Big Easy Gumbert, pimping the airwaves, usual. We had Taylor Ruffalo Wheeler drop out. We also had Sierra Hoodsey Hill drop out.
Scared.
And we also had Kaylin Dragon of the West Corbeil drop out.
Probably murdered.
Either way, we want to just acknowledge the fact that they were in the regular season, and we hope to see them next year. Without further ado, Damon Big Easy Gumbert.
Hey! Woo! What up, y'all? I don't know why I'm dancing. No one can see this. All right. So we have ourselves the last second round matchup. Royce, my name is from anime. Nope, video game.
Video game?
My name is from a video game bracket.
Woo!
And Blake, I'm not going to say his whole name again because we just went through it like 2 seconds ago.
I have no nicknames.
Yeah.
I go by one name.
Blake's there. Blake Blizzle, Dizzle, or Shizzle Nizzle.
Thanks.
Yeah.
100%.
Word.
The 3.
Word life. Yes. So, not gonna lie, not fully sure what the topics are. So, I know one is. Go ahead, Steven. Not
Mark
Steven,
Wahlberg
Royce.
films.
Go ahead, Royce.
Mark Wahlberg films. Best Zack Snyder film. And worst M. Night Shyamalan film.
Yeah.
Which is terrible.
Those two are pretty much the same.
I gotta be honest, one of my favorite films is from M. Night Shyamalan, and he has some very fucking terrible films. Let's be
He
honest
does.
there.
But most of
What
Zack
is the,
Snyder's films are terrible. So
That's true too, actually.
What's the specifics on Wahlberg's film? Right?
It's just Mark Wahlberg film, as far as I know.
But you
Best.
go head to head with between your two films, and you choose which is better. So it's not like the landscape of all of the films. It's
That
just
would be tough.
your film versus
Yeah.
his.
It's rough.
all right. We'll do a coin flip for who gets to decide who goes first and all that.
Can the
bullshit.
coin flip just decide who goes first instead of the coin
Yeah,
flip?
you can be like heads Blake's, tails
There's
Settle.
some strategy here.
Heads
all right?
Settle wins,
strategies.
tails
There's strategy.
Blake loses.
Either whoever loses gets to choose the topic, and whoever wins gets to choose whether they go first
That's
or
true.
second. So strategy, guys. All right.
You'll have to explain them to me once the coin is flipped.
All right.
I've already
Well,
forgotten.
Since your name.
Don't try, just flip.
All right, Steven. Or not? Sorry. God damn it. Bracket. Call it.
Tails never fails. And you fucking whiffed it, dude.
All right.
He's no AJ Green.
Can we call it on the
Let's
ground?
do this again.
This is what it was on the ground.
That's why there's four
It
quarters
was a
there.
head.
It
was
was
a
heads. So,
I know it
We'll
was
go with heads.
untouched.
Blake, you could choose.
I get to choose if I want to go first.
Yes.
I will not go first.
Okay.
So I will go first. Does that mean he chooses a topic?
No, you choose the topic.
I'll go with the worst M. Night Shyamalan film.
Ooh, that's the first one. Beautiful.
Who picked
Yeah.
that category,
So,
by the way?
oh, I should probably put a timer.
It's a good category, because, like,
It's a lot of hate.
I mean, there is a lot of fuel for that category, let's just say. But Jesus Christ, dude. I feel like my film just automatically wins it, but we'll discuss and see what
You are not
Lord
fucking-
Deasy says.
Yeah, if you can.
I got it.
Because I'm going to use my phone to score.
I got it.
Okay. Then whenever
I'm ready to go whenever.
Icebox
You ready?
decides you guys are ready. Yeah, give me a
I'll
second.
just put my foot up when you're done.
Is
Alright.
it 2-minute rounds?
3 minutes
Nope.
for the first round, 2 minutes for the rebuttal.
Okay.
Okay.
And begin.
Okay, so for worst M. Night Shyamalan film, I had The Last Airbender, because goddamn that we fucking sucked. So yes, for those of you that aren't aware, M. Night Shyamalan made a movie based on this cartoon from Nickelodeon. The cartoon was called Last Airbender, Avatar Last Airbender. Unfortunately, M. Night Shyamalan couldn't get the rights to Avatar because of fucking James Cameron, but whatever.
Piece of shit.
So M. Night Shyamalan made this Nickelodeon film for the cartoon. The cartoon is absolutely phenomenal. The movie, however, is not, for many, many reasons. So, first of all, the main character, which is called Aang in the cartoon and Ong in the fucking movie, he wasn't given the job based on his acting skill or anything else. He was given an online interview, essentially, where he did martial arts in front of the camera for some period of time, and then Night Shyamalan fell in love with him. So, right off the bat, in addition to everything else wrong with the movie, like, the main character's acting is just terrible. You can't teach this 11, 12, whatever-year-old kid this is, because he's young, how to act, and to at least get past the movie itself. Like, yes, his martial arts is incredible, but they very rarely showcase his ability in that case. In addition to that, this movie is trying to live up to something which is incredible. Like, I don't know how to describe it for those of you who haven't seen the cartoon, but the cartoon is, I mean, for being a cartoon, it's a very good story, a very touching story. Like, it has everything to it. Think about the climax, gives you goosebumps watching the final fight happen. And M. Night Shyamalan had everything in the world to live up to with this film, and he let it down in almost every aspect. It's basically, 4 nations, 4 elements: earth, fire, water, and wind gets destroyed by the Fire Nation. There's been 100 years of war happening. Aang is this avatar that can control all 4 elements simultaneously. And it's meant to be the story about this kid learning all the elements and trying to end this war permanently. And what M. Night Shyamalan essentially transforms it to is a story about, like, man versus the machine, which just wasn't in the original story whatsoever. It wasn't a part of the real story. Like, the Fire Nation, which is the main villain in the story, is shown to be this sort of, like, mass-produced, like, automation type thing, and, like, all the good people are meant to be this essentially, like, natural, pure version. I mean, that's not just what the story was about in any respect. And so I'm not, like, transform and twist and mutated what was a good time. Holy shit, I can't believe 2 minutes is up there, but there we go.
3 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, 3 minutes now.
Excellent.
Very solid, very solid.
Very solid.
Black A, what you
What's
got
up?
for me?
My pick. All right, I had to move off my original pick as it has already been.
I took that the moment Icebox sent it to me. I took that fucking film.
That being said, I'll debate what is most likely a Criterion Collection movie to happen. It's so bad it's good.
Whenever you're ready.
We can start the timer now.
Okay, go.
All right. So The Happening is essentially like the last death blow to what was a slowly dying M. Night Shyamalan career. He's a very... The way he directs his movies is, everybody knows he always goes for that big twist ending. The whole movie leaves you in suspense leading up to the ending. And every single movie, for the most part, that he had done before that was all centered around, like, everybody would go see it and be like, what's the twist ending? The twist ending in this movie is like a punchline to a joke. The entire movie is pure garbage, and the ending is that this mysterious force that is killing everybody is nothing more than blades of grass rubbing together, killing people, and tree leaves. It's really funny, actually. It's like he's trying so hard to make a twist ending that he almost makes a joke out of his own film genre. And everything before that was, like I said, a steady decline. It started with, like, Unbreakable and The Sixth Sense, who were very good movies, and then from there it just dropped. We're talking, like, Signs and Lady in the Water. Lady in the Water was not a good sign, and then once The Happening came out, people were like, redemption time? You've got a talented cast of Mark Wahlberg and Zooey Deschanel, and in both cases they were completely phoned in performances. He got no work from his acting crew at all, and the entire movie is meant to be scary and intense, and there are scenes in that movie that are just so laughable that it almost turns into like a scary movie. Essentially, it's a parody of itself. In particular, my favorite scene, which it should be the climax of the movie, the entire group has been smashed into the corner of the world. They're living with some crazy farm lady, and there's a scene where she is starting to go crazy as the plant allergies get to her, and they have no Claritin in the house, and she just can't fight them off. So she's like, "Oh, you're gonna kill me in my sleep," and Mark Wahlberg phones in some great lines here. He's like, "No, kill you? What? No, it's terrible." Every single part of that movie should have just been stopped right there. And at that point, the actors are so uninvested that it's painful. It is truly painful to watch. And I think the reason I picked this movie as his worst movie is because this is what he chooses to do. This is his genre. This is what he likes to direct. Avatar is more of he was, given the rights to a franchise and he completely mishandled it. Happening was his wheelhouse, and he miserably, dismally created just a turd monster. I don't like the movie at all, and I don't think anybody else does.
We got about 10 seconds left.
10 seconds. Yeah, I just hate it. That's just sad because Mark Wahlberg's one of my favorites, and he's just terrible in that movie.
I mean, let's turn around when you guys start talking good about Mark Wahlberg in a couple of minutes.
I won't.
When I was texting the topics, I was like, "Huh? Is this for the Mark Wahlberg movie or not?" Like, I was like, probably not, because then it goes to The Happening. But whatever.
Yeah, I don't think that's your best Mark Wahlberg movie.
No, I mean, we'll get to Mark Wahlberg, but I was like, man, I really don't know many of his movies, and a lot of his movies suck ass.
All right.
You're gonna threaten a guy with a gun?
So 2 minutes for rebuttal.
Yep. Rebuttal whenever you want.
All right, so go ahead. So I guess the biggest thing I could say about The Happening itself is that almost in direct opposition to what you said, like, M. Night Shyamalan had the control over The Happening, whereas he was put into a franchise and he tried to alter it with Last Airbender. I almost say the opposite. Like, he had his opportunity to be original with The Happening, and The Happening, I would say, is original. Like, yes, the plot twist that, like, the Earth is essentially attacking man because it sees it as a virus is not like the crazy great plot twist, but it is something interesting to look at with the movie. And there are scenes like when the guy gets he mows himself over the lawnmower or what have you, like he sets up the lawnmower. I mean, that is something unique to look at with the movie, whereas Last Airbender, it doesn't have it really doesn't have a redeeming aspect to it. I saw the movie twice in theaters with 3D. I watched it twice. Once with you, Big DZ, another time with another set of people, because I wanted this movie because there's no redeeming aspect to it. I can't recommend a single scene, a single part to it. And my biggest argument to it, and I just have to end it here, is just there's that scene where they're trying to do a time skip sort of thing to show, like, the passage of time, and, like, Aang, helping out the nations. And part of it is, 4 earthbenders manipulating Earth, and, like, they're all doing this crazy choreography thing that's really not that intense, and they're moving like a fucking clump of dirt in their fucking, like, you control it in your hands, and they're, like, throwing it at this dude. And, like, I don't know how, as a director, M. Night Shyamalan saw that, watched the final cut of the film, decided, like, that was worthy of being his film. Like, I'm sorry, but, like, that clearly by itself just completely negates that movie. I can't believe he allowed that such thing.
All right. Blake?
All right.
Your turn.
Bring it strong. So I discussed my least favorite scene in The Happening, which was the farmhouse scene. I agree that in some sense both movies have absolutely no redeeming qualities. I will argue a left field argument here. I feel like at the time in 2008 when The Happening came out, and I was talking about the decline of M. Night Shyamalan's career, and I was talking about the fact that that is a wheelhouse movie for him, I feel like people went into that movie really expecting him to rebound, and it was so bad that I think that was actually the exact moment in his career where everything after that basically was like, it went from, ooh, an M. Night Shyamalan film, I wonder, to, oh, it's M. Night Shyamalan's film. That movie right there, Avatar is past the fact. I didn't expect anything from that movie. It was terrible. but I knew it was going to be terrible. I went into Happening really hoping to see a movie I would enjoy. Like I said, it had cast members which I like, and I hated it. The other part of it too is when I mentioned that tipping point in his career. Now that anything that comes out, like his Wayward Pines series or any film he's set to direct, I immediately don't want to watch it because, he's lost his ability to woo me with his thriller and his horror series. I don't think he can do them anymore, and I think he just stretched out his one piece of bread so far, which was, I'm going to do this type of movie, and it exploded into little breadcrumbs all over the floor. So my main argument there is that Avatar came after the fact. I think he was just stretching, trying to find some sort of footing. Terrible movie, but I really think The Happening is where his career officially just clipped off and died, and anything after that is him just grasping at straws, trying to maintain his name. And that's my argument.
All right. So those are very strong arguments. Very strong. It's very close. I already have it totaled because, I don't suck.
You're DZ.
Yeah.
Not Ben Suzuki. It takes like 5 minutes.
It's pretty easy because I just do hash marks. So it's just, I just count
Blake
them.
had a great rebuttal there.
He did.
That was stronger than I thought it'd be.
Yeah. Come on. I actually have Blake winning by a few points.
God damn it!
He did. He kind of cut you off at the legs with the whole, like you already knew that the movie was gonna suck before it came out. It kind of, and just having that argument.
He might have thought that, but I didn't think that.
I didn't think it either.
I was hopeful.
It was just the argument that The Happening kind of killed Shyamalan's career. It was a strong argument. You can't really say that you really looked forward to an M. Night Shyamalan movie since. I mean, maybe some people did for Avatar or for The Last Airbender, but I think most people were just kind of like...
I was excited that it was being made into a movie, but once I found out who was directing it,
Yeah.
I immediately was like, why is he doing this movie? He's never done
I just
anything
remember
like it.
going to the theater like with Jeremy and Matt. I think it was you, and just being like Matt and Jeremy had watched it a lot. Like they had watched like the entire series before that, and going into the theater, like those are the two big fanboys, and they were already like mad. Like they were mad we were even going to it. It was just.
Well, I remember distinctly that first scene where what's her nuts is controlling in 3D the water ball and like it's falling apart. Like I knew very quickly from that scene, like, oh my god, this is gonna be terrible. And it was like and it just got so much worse than I thought it could possibly be. And like that was such a comparison to compare. Like Jeremy said, M. Night Shyamalan's great with these trailers, but like his movies are complete crap now. And Scott said,
It's not completely
Scott has argued, and I argued against him as well, that like, no, this is gonna be great. Like the trailer looks amazing, and like, there's no way he could just screw this up. And he fucking did, because that movie's terrible, and I wouldn't recommend it to my worst enemy.
I think I'll leave it at this and to say that I think the biggest atrocity he did. I mean, The Happening, I was on board, and it was the twist that I think let a lot of people down.
Yes,
But
for sure.
I think with The Last Airbender, the biggest atrocity was I think we wanted Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we were not going to give it any inch or space to Shyamalan to create any of his own world. Like we wanted live action Aang, Appa, not Appa, not Aang, not Sokka.
Yeah.
We wanted Sokka, dude. Like, and
Let's be
we weren't
honest.
having any of it. So.
Yeah.
It immediately turned us off. But yes,
All right.
all garbage movies.
They were, and I just thinking about it. I saw both of them in theaters, and I don't know why.
I watched the Last Airbender twice.
And
it
when you
wasn't-
said that,
it
I
wasn't
literally
the
was like,
first time.
why?
I
why would you
forget
do
why,
that to
dude.
yourself?
I had spare cash, and I just didn't give a fucking flying fuck about my time.
Oh,
apparently.
man.
Jesus Christ.
I've gone out of my way not to watch that movie.
Yeah,
It's terrible.
we went to The Happening. I think opening night or opening day. I forget what it was, but it was just
I went
like
opening weekend.
Dude, I was there.
yeah.
I was there for
Trevor-
The Happening.
Trevor leaned over to me. Trevor Hawkins. He leaned over to me and he was just like, "You know what? I bet it's the trees." And I thought he was kidding, and he was, but then he was right. And it was just so, like, it pissed me off so much that, like, he made a joke and was completely right about the plot.
I'm guessing the footage and stuff pointing to the trees a lot of the time. Like,
yeah, because every time anyone would die, there would be, like, a breeze of wind.
That's the cool thing about his like original movies is when you went back through and you understand the whole puzzle, you can go and like catch all the parts where he was
Yeah.
trying to subtly explain it. In that movie, a second watch through, you're just like, oh, I get it. The tree kills.
Pretty obvious when you look through
I
it.
understand it's like
we gotta do
symbolic.
best M. Night Shyamalan because
Yeah,
like
maybe we can
oh,
argue
and-
with
as
pretty
good
much
as
just
this
like
category is,
Signs
that is
versus
also good because like
Unbreakable.
Signs? Not even Sixth Sense?
No.
Oh, my God.
that was my
Those
cat. Like
guys.
if I had to pick one of those, it'd be hard to pick between Signs and
Dude,
Unbreakable.
I argue
and Sixth Sense didn't even make it. That's
Signs,
Oh my gosh.
Signs, the
Yes.
scene where they're in the closet with the hats on and they're all watching the alien. That scene messed me up.
Dude,
A
those
terrible-
scenes are
think
scary
Sixth
when they
Sense
go
is
on
better,
fucking
The
television
news?
and you just see the alien walk
It's
past.
like the Bigfoot
Move,
thing,
children. Vamonos.
and just the hat. It's in my mind forever. A terrible turd CGI alien scared the hell out of me. That's all I have to say.
So the aliens don't read our minds.
All right. What topic are we doing next? It is...
I have to decide. 'cause
You
I'm
can
going
decide,
first.
yeah. It's either Mark
Let's
Wahlberg
argue.
or... I forget what the other one was.
Well, you know, we
Mark
just
Wahlberg is
sickened-
Zack Snyder.
We
Yeah.
just sickened Wahlberg's name. I did, so we're gonna argue. I'm gonna redeem him now.
All right.
Alright.
We're doing
Yeah.
1v1 Mark Wahlberg movies. So, Lake is going first whenever you're ready.
Okay. And
What's your movie, by the way?
to clarify, we each picked a movie.
Yeah. I don't know either of them, so that's...
Okay.
I'm pretty sure you told me at work, and I totally wasn't
Mark
listening.
Wahlberg has done a lot of great movies. I'll tell you that much. I was scrounging.
Okay.
Go
So, Mark Wahlberg is a fantastic side and supporting actor or character actor. I don't know if you call him that. He plays the same guy almost every time.
Yeah.
He's a good side actor. So I dug through the archive and I came up with a little gem from 2007. Shooter. Really good director. I'll struggle with pronunciation.
Yeah, skip it.
Okay. Anyways, so Shooter was a movie that I think out of all of his films was absolutely, as far as like what you can expect from a led Mark Wahlberg film. You know, he's not a side actor. He is not, you know, in any way connected. There's, you know, not like in other guys where Will Ferrell's right there with him the whole time. It was him in the camera in Sweet Sweet Love the whole time. Shooter is at its core just a really good action movie. It has what I would call at least a passable plot for an action movie. That's great because most times the plot is nonsensical. So I enjoy the plot. I enjoy Danny Glover's lisp immensely as a villain.
Frank Thwager.
He's such an off-putting person. But I just it has all like the classic over-the-top action movie tropes. For instance, like bad guys can't hit anything, and Mark Wahlberg can run through a field downing helicopters by shooting propane tanks, all the while not even messing up his hair. And it's a movie based around like it's actually fairly well done. If you go through like the list of movies about snipers, there are some cool things in there. They talk about like how they set up their shots, and they throw in some stuff in there about how a sniper would take a shot and stay back from the window, and it's stuff that if you don't know anything about military, it's a crude representation, but it's kind of cool. It includes you in their little sniper world. And overall, it, you know, with Danny Glover being the bad guy, it's got Michael Pena as a good side actor and Kate Mara as a good side actor. And I just enjoy the film as a whole. It's immensely entertaining, and it's one of those movies that you can put on at any time. You don't necessarily have to catch every single scene, but there are some really good scenes. Most of the action scenes are really well done. And there is a pretty good payoff at the end. There's essentially two bad guys that are introduced, and he gets both of them in the end, and there's some amazing shoot stuff and walk away from an explosion, and that's every comic book movie, every action book movie, they all need those types of like over-the-top imaging, and I just really liked everything about Shooter. And I think that in his career, like I'm saying, you remember him in small roles, but that is a movie that he absolutely was the main lifeline all the way through. and I think he did an excellent job. There, I don't think he's an immensely gifted actor, but in that movie he was passable, and the movie itself turned out really well.
All right, Royce.
All right. You got to win.
What's your movie, by the way?
My movie is Four Brothers with Mark Wahlberg. So exactly what Blake said. Like I was scrounging for Mark Wahlberg movies. I look them up when I'm given this category, and it's like, man, I haven't seen any of these movies, and I'm pretty sure most of the movies suck ass. Other than honestly, because I haven't seen it, because I can't talk about it as The Departed. I'm sure if I had seen The Departed, I would have brought it up and just. I know, sorry, Damon, but I'm not gonna.
Cut you deep, Shaq.
I'm not gonna bring up a movie I haven't seen before. I would believe me. I believe it's his best movie he's been in. But like Blake said, like he's not a leading actor in most scenarios. He's a good side actor. He's a good action person, and this to me is what Four Brothers is all about. So this is an old ass movie. God, I think we saw this when we were in middle school. Essentially, Mark Wahlberg plays a orphan that comes back to his hometown with his three other brothers, who are also orphans, to his foster mother who was just murdered, and he's trying to figure out essentially like why she was killed. And it's a traditional action movie. There are like fights, gunfights, things like that. But this is Mark Wahlberg at his best without it within like shooter realm being like just traditional trope stuff. So the thing that always sticks out to me is the fact that Mark Wahlberg is working with these three other brothers of his, and there's that I don't know about famous but memorable scene where like his three other brothers are black, and he mentions in one part like, don't you recognize us, we're brothers essentially, even though they're clearly not blood related, at least to an extent. But in addition to that, the final scene where Mark Wahlberg meets the person that has set up this sort of hit for his foster mother, and they meet on the ice in the middle of a river, frozen, and he like fist fights this dude and beats him down in front of all these people, and kills him and wins everything. It's just everything Mark Wahlberg is the best Mark Wahlberg could be without relying on these tropes, relying on these traditions. He's not, as anyone else would say, he's not a fantastic actor or anything. He can't push a role, he can't lead a role, but without relying on traditional just action movie, a knockoff of Jason Bourne, knockoff of anything else. For God's sakes, he was at Max Payne. He pushes an action genre and takes control of a film as opposed to anything else. He does as much as he can as an actor, and I think that would lead to a success, or understandably better Four Brothers role. So that's why I think Four Brothers is his best film, personally, other than obviously The Departed, which, yeah.
All right. I mean, there's also The Fighter and Boogie Nights and Christian.
How big was he in The Fighter? Because it wasn't that
he was the main character, but I mean, Christian Bale still.
That's what I was gonna say. I remember Christian Bale from The Fighter.
Christian Bale and Amy Adams and
Head body head.
Melissa
I
Leo
could
kind of stole that
have
movie,
been
but
Boogie Nights, but there's some great stuff in that movie.
yeah. I mean, he does share the screen a lot in that movie.
Yeah.
So, all right,
understandable.
Lake, when you're ready for your rebuttal.
Okay. Alrighty, try not to keep this too long-winded. So, barring like the title, you can make a pretty easy jab at it. It's called Four Brothers. Immediately he has 3 co-stars. So the other part of it is shooter, and yes, where do I want to go with this? I find it more memorable. I wish I could pick Mark Wahlberg in The Departed because he's incredible in that role, but he's such a small actor. He's kind of like the Hulk, great in small doses. Shooter, I have to maintain with my original argument that I think it is one of his only main lifeline roles where he was the dude throughout the whole movie and had good supporting cast, but in such small, limited amounts that you really can't call them true supporting actors along the lines of Christian Bale and Fighter. And I think yes, Four Brothers is older, and I think I watched it. It's got to be like a 2002 or 2003 movie.
It's old.
So that being said, I think I've actually watched that movie more recently than Shooter, but yet I still remember scenes from Shooter. And I think if you're talking about, when I think of Mark Wahlberg as an actor, he's really done well for himself, doing like the, kind of revitalizing what made Danny Glover famous back in the day, which was like the Lethal Weapons with Mel Gibson, doing like the buddy cop, the funny, adding the comedy to the action movie, which is kind of is a genre that gets dumped in the trash a lot and is picked up and then rinsed off. So he's done well for himself there. But when I think of him in some of his best years before his face turned to like Spam, which is happening, he's melting slowly like most actors of the day. I think of him as like a traditional action star, and he really doesn't have that many great action roles, which is weird why I think of him as that. But the main reason in my mind that I view him as a traditional action star is Shooter, because it's such a good action movie.
All right. Royce Brackett.
All right. So I guess my main argument against Shooter is that I wouldn't say it's this, it's a good quote-unquote action movie. I mean, from at least my perspective, it's hard for me to distinguish between it and like any other action movie. Like, I think it's the watered-down version of any Jason Bourne movie, which I think is much... Jason Bourne movies are much better. It's, this guy is set up for a frame job, and he's coming back, and he's killing people, and there's that final scene where he's, like, shooting the senator as the senator's, sipping Chardonnay in his cabin, thinking he's all safe, and, Mark Wahlberg shows up. I mean, it's just... You can't argue that it follows all these tropes and somehow becomes superior to it because of Mark Wahlberg. There's not a uniqueness part of it. He is just this one-man army that we get to see shoot up different scenes, different helicopters, propane tanks, everything you have, a million guys at once. Whereas with Four Brothers, my argument is that there is a somewhat unique setup with Mark Wahlberg. Mark Wahlberg isn't traditionally given, interesting or crazy roles, but at the very least, he's given 3 co-stars that he works with and that you remember him as being the center point of. And at the end of the fight, it's not him, shooting out with the bad guy at the end. It's him in a fucking frozen lake fighting around a ring of other people as he's beating down the person that, killed the redeeming factor in his life. I think that is unique in terms of action films. I think Mark Wahlberg being primarily an action-based actor, that is something redeeming towards him in terms of his film. You look at his career from that point on, Shooter is just one drop in a bucket, whereas Four Brothers is a unique aspect of his career.
All right. Wow. Okay. So apparently last rebuttals are just like killing it today, because that was a really good rebuttal. I have Steven winning that argument.
Dope.
That was a good takedown of Shooter. It was.
He's wounded.
Yes. Okay.
I fucking hate that movie.
So we're.
I'm sorry, but I do.
I've never been able to actually sit through the whole thing.
I'm with you, Blake, man. I enjoy Shooter. I enjoy the hell out of
To
it.
each his own, but man, I cannot stand that movie.
The fact he's going to, I just love like scruffy mountain man Wahlberg with a ponytail, a big ass dog.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. He was like, I don't think you boys understand. These people killed my dog or whatever. It's like a Steven Seagal movie. It's so good.
That's a good way to put it, actually. Steven Seagal with Mark Wahlberg in the lead.
That's great.
Yeah, that list, man, that is great.
For a long time, I was like, does Danny Glover really have a lisp?
It bugged me.
He was just hiding it throughout the entire Lethal Weapon series. He was just like hiding it underneath his right.
No, I think somehow he slowly got it. I don't know if he has like dentures or something, but
Probably.
It was
He
like
old
when
as
Jim
shit.
Carrey played the guy in Cable Guy, and then forever I'm like, why did Jim Carrey have the lisp in that movie? It didn't make sense.
eat your eggs before they get cold.
God. What a good movie. Anyway, so it's tied 1-1. The
Thank
final,
God.
the final
It's very
battle.
embarrassing to go in last battle knowing the laws.
So what's the topic? I forgot already.
This
Best
is best
Zack
Zack Snyder
Snyder
film.
Best.
Jesus.
This is this you know what's coming, dude.
I'm gonna hate both of your arguments. So
I
this will be
know.
good. So we have Stephen picked Watchmen, and
That's
Blake
Royce,
has.
actually.
Sorry, Royce.
His name is Royce. Goddammit.
Jesus, I even have it written down as Royce, and I still
Whatever.
call him. Yeah, Royce Brackett has.
This is gonna be a
has
tough
Watchmen,
battle.
And Blake has Dawn of the Dead. Correct.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I originally picked Watchmen, but it was taken.
Every movie you've
if
chosen.
if you beat me in this, even
Nobody
more
picked
embarrassing.
300. That's insane.
I was
thought
kinda
for
surprised
sure.
by that,
I
too.
thought for sure someone would pick 300 by someone who not me. So I thought. 300, but
I could have picked 300, but
I hope he
Don't
did
you
because
worry.
that's a much better argument. But
I can
And-
make an argument for Dawn of the Dead.
oh, I bet you can.
All right. So Stephen gets to go first.
Yep.
In this.
So yes,
Time
Oh, sorry.
man.
So like Damon said, my favorite Zack Snyder film would be 300, or what I consider to be the best Zack Snyder film is be 300. Again, looking at
Nope.
the list of,
Watchmen.
or did I say 300? God, I was thinking of Watchmen. Yeah, I'm already fucked, dude. Slip of the tongue, but I meant Watchmen. But yeah, looking at Zack Snyder's films, it was slim pickings to, I mean, fucking sucker punches on there, for God's sakes. But yeah, it was definitely between 300, Watchmen, and Dawn of the Dead, which I consider to be good. But yeah, I think Watchmen is phenomenal. I don't like the traditional argument when something is based on a comic book or a movie or a book series or anything else that like it doesn't live up to that, because you're looking at the artist's interpretation of it. And one of my favorite things about the Watchmen, knowing the comic versus the movie, the comic has the main idea or the main theory being like the Ozymandias captures psychics who create this image of an alien race invading the Earth, whereas Zack Snyder, cuts it down and simplifies it much more immensely, where he frames the only person capable of destroying the Earth and attacking an entire nation. He frames Dr. Manhattan. So it simplifies the plot line immensely without losing any sort of aspect of it. You're still the main point of the Watchmen is that this idea of who watches the Watchmen, which when you read the book firstly is who looks over and protects the Watchmen, when it really at the very end flips over and becomes who is the one making sure the Watchmen are protecting us. The idea that Ozymandias is trying to protect us, but he's also destroying us at the same time. I think that's a phenomenal piece of the plot itself. So like him simplifying down the plot and looking at Dr. Manhattan and framing him for the job is immense. In addition to that, I just think all the extremes of the superhero personas are really shown off well. Dr. Manhattan is Superman. He wouldn't feel emotions, and you see that very clearly in the performances and in the scenes of it. He's a god among men. Why would he care about traditional things? Why wouldn't he just leave to Mars immediately? Night Owl is this sort of do-goody person. I love that freaking scene where Ozymandias, he catches the bullet and he beats Black Widow down and freaking, or not Black Widow, Spectre down, and he's like, if you fucking hurt her, all blah, 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 and Ozymandias is just like, I'm sick of your, good boy persona. I love that scene. I love that, like, he just cuts right into Night Owl itself, and I just think it's an extremely well done film. Everything about it works really well, and it chains together well, and it simplifies down the plot into what you would expect, or the basic components of the story itself.
Is that over 3 minutes?
It was a little bit over.
Oh, that's okay. We can all have a little overtime.
Go ahead and go whenever you want, Blake.
Alrighty, so my pick for Dawn of the Dead, it's not really his first directorial credit, but it's really close, and I think it's probably his first directorial credit that was kind of mass released that a lot of people knew about, and that was at a time when Zack Snyder's name really wasn't known all that much. I believe 2004 was the year that Dawn of the Living Dead came out. Or, is it Dawn of the Dead?
Dawn of the Dead.
Thank you. Dawn of the Dead. So what this movie does for me is there's been like a revitalization of horror. especially like zombie movies, and it's kind of peaked probably in the late 2000s, early. What would the name of the tens be? Like 2011, whatever the hell that decade would be called. So it's over now, but there was a big peak in zombie movies. You had this one, which I think was kind of like the keystone. There was also other ones that came out like 28 days later, 28 weeks later, and then a whole host of other terrible movies. The reason I love this film is that in all of Zack Snyder's other work, it kind of is really centered around superhero movies. Now, Watchmen's unique that it's based after solely like a really well done graphic novel, versus now he's really involved in like the DC universe. But Dawn of the Dead feels so unique to me because it is a really, really well done modern zombie movie where the zombies are similar but at the same time different from where he kind of sources his material from, which is George A. Romero's like original Dawn of the Dead and Night of the Living Dead, in that they kind of almost have Resident Evil properties to them. They're fast, they're kind of smart, they figure things out. And the movie itself is actually really scary, and there's a whole host of really well done scenes. In particular, one scene that sticks in my head is the sniper scene where the gun shop owner's up on the roof and they're putting up names on a billboard and they're shooting like Rosie O'Donnell, I think was one of them. And the movie itself really doesn't have, and I think that's one of Zack Snyder's better things, at least early in his career, was he took a lot of kind of unknown actors. In this movie, none of them really rose to prominence because it's literally just a bunch of B-listers like Ving Rhames and Ty Burrell and Sarah Polley. And so he gets pretty good performances on him. It wasn't really critically acclaimed, but they don't ever like horror movies. And throughout the whole thing, it's just such a great take on what a zombie movie would be, which is, yeah, there's zombies, but then there's this whole big middle part of the movie where they don't really deal with them, and it's just about people living in a confined space, dealing with the thought that, you know, the whole world outside is basically burned down and turned to shit. And there's a great opening sequence and a great ending sequence, and the whole movie is just really well done and flows completely.
All right. Royce,
All right.
your rebuttal.
Yep. So I guess my big rebuttal for in terms of looking at, you know, best Zack Snyder films, things that he'll be remembered for, is that with Dawn of the Dead, like he's capturing on an old genre, like he's making a zombie film. Like, yes, is he improving on it? I think so. I think that movie is great. I enjoy watching it. But this is just a zombie. I mean, this is just a zombie film. This is people shooting zombies and a terror induced panic. Whereas with Watchmen, if we look at the superhero genre at all, which Watchmen was put out during the middle of like what I consider the superhero bubble, or at least I would consider the middle of the superhero bubble. Like, we haven't seen the similar type of theme to a superhero movie since. Like, granted, it's based upon something, but Zack Snyder was the one that pushed it and made it so, or pushed the aspects of it. The closest film we get to it is, heaven forbid, Batman vs. Superman, where they're actually dealing with the aspects of being a superhero in a world where you have, you know, your superpowers and you have all this control over humanity. Every other superhero film we've seen before or since deals with, you know, the best aspects of it, where you get to save people, and very rarely do they deal with the day-to-day stuff, like the latest Civil War movie, or, you know, Captain America movie, Civil War. They're dealing with the aspects that, yes, we are gods among men, and to some extent we will help people, but we also have to consider the fact that we're going to hurt people as well as part of what we do. Watchmen has touched upon those themes way before that, and Zack Snyder was the one that pushed ahead. I can't remember the name. The zombie movie it is traditional zombie movie, whereas Watchmen was ahead of its time.
Oh. All right. It's Dawn of the Dead, by the way.
Thanks. I was like, of the Dead, and I couldn't fucking remember the start of it.
There's so many of those.
Yeah, I just want to say the wrong ones. So.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Lockie, whenever you are ready.
Okay. I don't actually have a whole lot to say negatively about The Watchmen. The main thing that I feel makes it less superior is that it had an immensely well-known source material, and that was the original graphic novel, and it did simplify the plot. I'm on the fence where I'm more on the side where I was a little annoyed that they took out some of those nuances that made the original graphic novel really stand out and be one of my favorite things I ever read. Moving to Dawn of the Dead, the reason once again that I pit it as his best film that he's ever done is in that movie there is the opening of that movie, which I mentioned previously, is probably one of like the best ever done zombie scenes in film that I've ever witnessed. It does a very good job of building tension. You get this sort of slow, like they're pushing your head underwater, trying to explain to you through imagery what's happening, and you hear clippets on the radio, clippets on the TV, like things are going wrong. The family, the Sarah Polly, her character, and then her husband and her daughter are ignoring it, and then one morning, if you can imagine in all the terror, you wake up to find that your 10 or 11-year-old daughter has become a zombie, and then now she's attacked and killed your husband and made him a zombie, and that entire scene is just, it's gripping, it's very, very thrilling, and the first time I saw it, it was one of those things where I'm like a very big scaredy cat, so I was like climbing into my couch. And then there's an entire scene where she's in her car driving out of her neighborhood, and if you put yourself in her shoes, she's watching all these neighbors and people that she's seen 100 times, and they're getting mauled and murdered in their own yards by their own family. It's it's an extremely graphic and personal touch on the zombie movie, especially if you put yourself in that character's shoes. And then when you get to the mall, I really immensely enjoy the mall. Working in a retail setting for most of my life, I can say that come this time of year, we get close to Halloween, I want to be in a mall to survive an apocalypse.
All right. I know you were getting on a roll there, and if we had more time, this might not have come out to be in a tie, but it did.
Woo!
Literally,
Point.
you made a point, and then I looked down and it was 2:04, and I'm like, oh shit, stop talking.
Dude, that's a battle.
Oh,
I love it coming down to a tie, dude. You gotta pick one, though.
Yes. So
Jesus Christ.
Scott Icebox Nemi will be picking our trivia question.
God, what a battle.
A trivia question?
Trivia question.
Hey,
Yes,
I won. I won last one.
What
It was
did?
a tie as well
You
with
did.
Colin.
What's the category?
We'll see.
So here's how the tiebreaker will work. I'll read the question. I will take the first person to slap their hand down on the table. If they get that question wrong, then it will go to the other person to have a shot at answering. If you both get it wrong, we'll just go to a new question.
Is it sudden death? Or is it
Yeah,
like
it's
kick
whoever-
if I kick a field goal, then they can try to get a
No,
touchdown?
First person to answer wins.
First person to answer wins.
Is the
This
category movies?
Yes.
Wait till I finish the entire quote. I'll raise my finger. I spent like 3 hours shading the upper lip.
Napoleon Dynamite.
You got it.
Oh!
You got it, man. I thought it was stumped.
Dude,
I
I
didn't
didn't
know
know
it.
it. I didn't
I was
fucking know
literally
it.
like,
I
whoa.
was thinking fucking
We're going to another one.
Silence of the Lambs when he's fucking
Doing the
that girl's
makeup.
skin. Yeah.
Oh,
That was my
man.
first thought, and I knew it was wrong, but I had no idea what it actually
That was
was.
beautiful. That was a
It
beautiful.
was the delivery.
Damn,
It's-
man.
Damn
it, Damon.
All right. Don't bother me. Like
You're the judge! You should just give me 3-0.
all that work.
My
for
bad.
A Napoleon Dynamite question.
Yeah, of all the movies.
Yeah, I spent
Well,
like
I mean-
8 minutes prepping for this.
All right. So that does it for this fight. with
Filmy
Blake.
film.
Blake coming out the winner.
The
Moving
number
on.
one seed. Move on.
Moving on to the next round.
I
Going up
disappointed
against
Two Wills.
the other man in this room, Scott Icebox Nemi.
Woo!
The next round, the semifinals, will be starting pretty soon, where I will kick the shit out of Trace.
That's tomorrow, so be ready.
Monday night.
I will be stomping Trace's face in. That'll be great.
There's also a very big twist in tomorrow's battle, so tune in because it is huge. It's the biggest wrench that we've seen yet in Film history. One season. So
It's kind of a big deal.
be there.
When your grandchildren hear about this, they'll want to know that you fucking You were there for it.
Dad, where were you when the twist in film was announced?
Like, subscribe, comment, share. Subscribe, please. We're up to, I think, 62.
Woo!
We're still somewhat of a secret on the internet, so blow us up. Make us a thing. Do it. Yeah.
Do it.
I don't have any quotes. I mean, Zack Snyder sucks, but other than that.
Ouch. Wait,
Tonight we dine in hell.